Today on the Senate floor, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana called for something that many Americans would agree with at first glance: stop paying members of Congress during government shutdowns.
Mr. President, I'm going to be uncharacteristically brief. Tomorrow I will be bringing two bills before the Senate. They both have to do with the shutdown and congressional pay. The first bill is the No Shutdown Paychecks Act. The second bill is the Withhold Member Pay During Shutdowns Act. The first bill would provide that as long as we're shut down, and I'll explain why in a moment, as long as we're shut down, no member of Congress can be paid. And the money will not be reimbursed at a later date or repaid at a later date. The second bill, to address any 27th Amendment concerns, will say during the shutdown, members of Congress will not receive their pay, but their pay will be escrowed and they will receive it after the government is opened back up. Look, we're in day 36. Like you, Mr. President, I've heard a lot of rumors about we're that close to reaching an agreement. We've been that close for a week. Frankly, I hope I'm wrong in saying this, but I don't think we're really that close. I wish we were, and I hope we are. But I think we're going to be in the shutdown a while longer. That doesn't give me any joy to say that. In the meantime, none of our staffs are being paid. No federal employees are being paid. I got some numbers in this morning that federal workers have had to borrow $365 million so far during this 36-day shutdown in order just to pay their rent. Our military is only being paid partially. Our air traffic controllers are not being paid. People who receive SNAP payments are only being partially paid. I don't think anybody wants to see anybody go hungry in America, and that's not a partisan statement. I think that's a bipartisan statement. There's precedent for this, Mr. President. Some may say, well, this violates the 27th Amendment. I don't think it does. That's why I'm offering two different flavors of bills. But in 2013, President Obama did the same thing that I'm doing now. They were in a shutdown, and President Obama supported legislation that said, if you don't open up government by this certain date, then you're going to lose your paychecks. And guess what? Members of Congress had an epiphany, and they found religion. They had a Damascene moment, and they opened up government. And that's all this bill will do. I'm not trying to grandstand. I wasn't going to bring this bill. When I got back here Monday, I heard all the rumors like everybody else that we were close. And I hope we are close, but we're not close enough. And so I'll offer these bills tomorrow, and people can vote yay or they can vote nay. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Now, on the surface, that sounds fair, even common sense. After all, why should lawmakers continue to get paid when the people they represent, federal workers, contractors, and military families, are forced to go without? But when we peel back the layers of this speech, there's a lot more to unpack, especially from a democratic perspective that values responsible governance, economic stability, and the human cost of political dysfunction. Kennedy introduced two bills. The first would stop members of Congress from being paid during a shutdown, with no reimbursement later. The second would place that pay in escrow to be released only after the government reopens, meant to sidestep the 27th Amendment, which prevents Congress from immediately changing its own pay. In other words, Kennedy is saying, if the government shuts down, we shouldn't get paid either. And that's a message that resonates emotionally. It taps into the frustration that millions of Americans feel watching political gridlock hurt ordinary families. But here's the problem. While this message sounds tough on Congress, it doesn't get to the heart of the issue. The real question isn't whether lawmakers should get paid during shutdowns, it's why we keep having shutdowns in the first place. Shutdowns don't happen because rank-and-file federal employees fail to do their jobs. They happen because of political brinkmanship, because Congress can't agree on budgets, on priorities, on whether to fund essential services without strings attached. And historically, it's often been extreme partisanship, frequently from the far right, that drives this chaos. Democrats, by contrast, have typically been the ones trying to keep the government open, ensure people get paid, and protect the stability of everyday families. Let's remember, when the government shuts down, it's not just about paychecks. It's about missed mortgage payments. It's about soldiers deployed overseas who can't cover their bills back home. It's about federal food inspectors, airport security officers, and childcare providers who suddenly face financial hardship. It's about the ripple effects, the small businesses near federal offices, the restaurant workers who lose customers, the daycare centers that lose funding. Kennedy cites the 2013 shutdown during the Obama administration, when even then, the president and many Democrats supported measures to pressure Congress to act responsibly. But back then, it was House Republicans who held the government hostage over the Affordable Care Act. So yes, Democrats supported consequences for inaction, but not for showmanship. It was part of a broader effort to remind Congress that governance isn't a game. That's what's missing here. Kennedy's proposal is symbolic, a message bill, but it doesn't solve the structural problem of governing by crisis. Democrats have consistently called for reforms that would prevent shutdowns altogether. Things like automatic continuing resolutions, which would keep the government running at current funding levels until a new deal is reached, ensuring that federal workers and services never get caught in the crossfire again. And that's the deeper truth. If you really want to protect workers and taxpayers, don't just stop congressional paychecks during a shutdown, stop the shutdowns entirely. If Congress wants to lead by example, that means doing the hard work of governing, passing budgets on time, negotiating in good faith, and putting the American people ahead of partisan theater. So while Senator Kennedy's bills may sound like a tough accountability measure, the real accountability starts with action, with ensuring that families never again have to wonder if their government will be there for them when they need it most. And that's where Democrats stand. Keep the government open, keep Americans working, and stop using shutdowns as political leverage, because governance shouldn't be about who suffers most, it should be about who serves best. If you agree that Congress should stop playing politics with people's livelihoods, make your voice heard. Call your representatives, write to your senators, and demand that they support legislation that prevents shutdowns before they start. Because at the end of the day, democracy works best when we all hold our leaders accountable, not just for their paychecks, but for their priorities.